So leading up to the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, many of us anticipated there being some sort of Zelda stuff at this event. Zelda is arguably at its highest peak right now in terms of fan interest and game sales, and Nintendo definitely delivered with some Zelda goodness at this event. You of course got a new Hyrule Warriors game, but for a lot of people, the upgrades to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom for the Nintendo Switch 2 were definitely the kind of more interesting thing involving this. But of course, with the whole Switch 2, there's been so much confusion over different things, and now there's another wrinkle in all of the things going on with The Legend of Zelda that was just recently discovered. So I want to talk about, I guess, just all the Zelda related stuff, how we got to this point, and then what this new wrinkle is, and why some people are like really pissed off about it. But I'm not quite sure I feel that same way. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. But of course, we learned that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom would be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 with upgraded visuals of the original games. Basically, you get better frame rate and better graphical clarity in terms of the presentation, visually speaking, of the game. And I mean, I think these look great. Now, granted, I've played these games on PC as well, but I definitely think that it's going to be nice to be able to play these at higher resolutions with things like HDR and, of course, you know, the more intricate lighting that they seem to be using. I think it's definitely going to be very fun to revisit these two games. But when you start to talk about the price points of these, it gets a little bit murky. Now, if you want to buy the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of these games in that pretty red box that people either seem to love or hate, I'm kind of fine with it. I don't really care. I don't think it's that ugly. You would have to pay $70 for Breath of the Wild and $80 for Tears of the Kingdom. And I mean, that's pretty expensive, especially considering that Breath of the Wild is an 8-year-old game. If people want to be upset with that, I completely understand you. We should be talking about Player's Choice editions for $40 versions of these games, not $70 editions. But what all comes with it? Well, you of course get the different sort of graphical upgrades, and there was confusion over that too, because some places were reporting that there was digital codes inside of the box and it was just a Switch 1 cartridge. But thankfully, Nintendo did clear that up. But of course, it led to more confusion. The graphical updates are indeed on the cartridge. But what if you don't want to buy the cartridge? You already own the games for your Nintendo Switch 1. Well, then you can get them via a $10 upgrade and have the enhanced graphical capabilities along with the other things that are included. Or if you have Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, you also get them included into that for no additional cost. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. You know, I don't plan on buying the red box editions, considering the fact that I own both of these games on the Nintendo Switch. So to be able to get these games upgraded without having to spend any additional coin is a very good thing. But wait, then of course we had the whole situation with Breath of the Wild not having the additional DLC on the Switch 2 edition, meaning that if you want to play that DLC, you still have to purchase that separately, thus bringing Breath of the Wild for everything. If you wanted to buy the Switch 2 edition of the game with the enhanced graphics, and then you also wanted that DLC content, to a $90 price point. And that's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. And honestly, I'm right there with you, because this is an 8-year-old game. Like, I think it's kind of ridiculous to not include the DLC, at least in the Switch 2 version of the game. This is supposed to be like the best playing and best running version of the game. I don't really foresee, you know, many people that haven't played the DLC that will want to buy the DLC. Like, I don't know. It's just very strange to me. But during that Nintendo Direct 2 presentation where they were going over all of this stuff, we learned that there was something else being added into the Switch 2 enhanced versions of these games, and that was a cell phone application. And it was kind of weird. Now, this is something that's just included with the Switch 2 version of it. So you basically get this application on your cell phone, and then you have added content called Zelda Notes, and within these notes you can get directions on how to go places. It helps you document like Korok seed locations. It's kind of neat. I think it's sort of a different way to do things. But people are like, well, what about the preservation aspect of this? Because this is a feature that is tied into a cell phone. It's not tied into the console itself or the game itself. It's tied into the mobile application, thus using the game. So what if the mobile application goes away? This is something that's completely lost to the sands of time. And once again, I think you're correct on that, but I also don't feel like it's honestly that big of a deal as people are making it out to be. Or is it? Because I say everything that I just said because obviously this has been a very confusing time frame to talk about what has been discovered. Because Zelda's Nintendo Switch 2 ports finally let you repair equipment via a mobile app bonus. So this is just craziness. This was something that was discovered by a YouTuber. I believe their name was Zeltic, and they do a lot of Zelda-related content on here. But you could see in this image here, when we get rid of all of these lovely advertisements, that this is stuff you could do within the cell phone app, and you get daily bonuses. So basically every 24 hours, you have different bonuses that you can get for your game. So you can get an energy cell recharge, you can get stamina recovery, you can get tough meal, health recovery, electro meal. But then what's this? Equipment repairs? So digging in deeper to it, basically the Zelda Notes app allows Switch 2 players to roll a randomly daily bonus which can be stored and used in game. This includes generic items like meals and health boosts, but as spotted by Zeltic, one of the rewards is equipment repairs. Item decay is one of the most divisive features, blah, blah, blah. So this is like really strange to a lot of people. And a lot of people do not like this because one of the main problems for people is the fact that they do not like the weapon degradation. And so to put it behind the cell phone app that now you have at least a chance to get weapon degradation, removed on certain weapons that you own, that's something that's very attractive to people. And they're like, well, I would like the game more if I didn't have to deal with the weapons degrading and then being completely useless over time. So I've seen a lot of people really, really upset with the fact that this equipment repairs essentially is going to be tied into a cell phone application that's obviously not going to last forever, and that you have to randomly roll it. So you have a chance of getting it, but it's just a small chance. And that is something that is a key point of disinterest for people. And I seriously have seen a ton of people very upset about this, hoping that it would be something that was just an option in the game itself. And like, I get it. I get not liking the weapon degradation. I don't think anyone like thoroughly enjoys your weapons degrading over time and, having a bit more of a survival element to the game. But on the other hand, I'm kind of like, and this is just me personally. Like, if somebody is genuinely mad about this, like, they can be mad, and like, I would completely understand it. But I'm someone who's beaten both of these games, and like, when I go to revisit them, like with the Switch 2 versions, like, I probably am not going to play through the whole thing again. Like, I definitely enjoyed my time with those games and had fun playing them. And I'm just going to hop into like my save file and just kind of dick around in the world and check out the phone app and enjoy the prettier graphics and better frame rates and better lighting and HDR and stuff like that. But I don't know that, this being tied into a cell phone app that I'm probably not going to use all that much is really that important to me. And that's just me speaking personally as someone who has played and beaten these games, because realistically speaking, the weapon degradation is built into the game. Like, I think it kind of changes the game. Like, imagine the game without any weapons being destroyed and stuff like that. I feel like it takes away a little bit from the gameplay experience. And yes, some people might like it better, but I don't think that's the way that the game was necessarily designed to be done. So but I can understand. Like, I can understand why people are mad about this, because honestly, it's just kind of the piling up sort of stuff with this. You know, a $90 edition of Breath of the Wild that has the DLC, because you got to buy the DLC separately on the Nintendo Switch too, and then you have to use your cell phone app in order to really get every little nook and cranny out of this game, when it's just kind of like, well, couldn't you have just implemented this into the game itself without having this sort of outside cell phone application in here? You know, I don't think people are necessarily super pissed off about that existing. I think people are just annoyed with the fact that it seems like it's making things more difficult with this game, and you're hopeful that you know, it's the full version and you're getting all the bells and whistles and stuff like that, but now you got to factor in the cell phone application and stuff like that. And like, do you really want to use your cell phone when you're playing on a video game console? Is that what people like to do? Because I'll be honest with you, I hate it. I can't stand it. I think it's an interesting novelty, but like, for me, it's not something that I want to rely on when I'm playing a video game. But in the same breath, I'm also not planning on playing these games, you know, from start to finish again. Now, if I was playing these games from start to finish and, you know, I had this option available to me, it would be interesting, but I don't think I would still like it tied into the cell phone application. So it's just weird. You know, that's really what it boils down to, is all of this is just very weird, and it's almost a little scatterbrained. If you kind of think about it, it almost seems like Nintendo is just trying to do so many different things all at one time with like certain games. And it's like, maybe you're overcomplicating things a little bit. You know, maybe you could have made this a little bit more streamlined, a little bit simpler for people, instead of having a Switch 1 edition of a game, a Switch 2 edition of a game. But if you have the Switch 1 edition of the game, you can upgrade each game for $10. But if you have the Switch 1 edition of the game and you have Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, you get the upgrades for free. But if you have Breath of the Wild and you don't have the DLC, you won't be able to play the DLC unless you purchase the DLC. Like, why? Why so complicated? Why'd you have to go and make things so complicated? Who sang that song? I don't even know. I know it was a woman. Was it Ashley Simpson? I don't think it was Ashley Simpson. I don't know. I'll look it up after the fact. Anyways, guys, let me know how you feel about this. Was weapon degradation something that really spoiled your parade with Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, to the point of where you want to use this, but you don't want to use a cell phone in order to have access to this? Like, do you think it should have just been built into the game if we're going to be doing these random rewards? Because, I mean, I sure as hell do. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Like I said at the start, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Turn the bell on so you're not missing out on any uploads. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.